The fire of Rome in 64 AD is one of the most emblematic and controversial events of ancient history. The city was engulfed in flames that spread quickly, destroying entire neighborhoods and leaving thousands homeless. This tragic event gave rise to one of the most famous myths of the Roman world, the idea that Nero, the emperor at the time, ordered the burning of his own capital. But is this true? And why would he do something so destructive? Let's start with the context. Rome at that time was a densely populated city, filled with wooden structures and narrow streets. So, when the fire began near the Circus Maximus one night in July, it spread at an alarming speed. The fire lasted 6 days and devastated much of the city. According to some accounts, when the flames were finally contained, 10 of Rome's 14 districts lay in ruins. The fire had a devastating impact on the lives of ordinary Romans, leaving many homeless and furious at the situation. But where does Nero fit into this story? This is where the theories and accusations begin. Shortly after the fire, rumors arose that the emperor himself had ordered Rome to be set ablaze. According to some ancient chroniclers like Suetonius and Tacitus, it was said that Nero wanted to rebuild Rome in his own way, creating a city that reflected his personal tastes. The most famous version of these rumors claims he watched the fire from afar, playing his lyre and singing about the fall of Troy. This image of Nero, watching Rome burn with an almost theatrical coldness, has left a lasting impression. But is this story true? Modern historians are cautious about accepting this version. First, it's important to remember that Suetonius and Tacitus, the main sources of this account, wrote about Nero decades after his death. Both were senators and had political motivations that could influence their portrayals of the emperor, who was already seen in an extremely negative light by the Roman elite. Nero was a controversial leader, involved in disputes with the Senate and Rome's upper classes. So, it wouldn't be surprising if these authors highlighted his more tyrannical and extravagant aspects. Moreover, there's evidence that Nero wasn't in Rome when the fire started. He supposedly returned to the city quickly upon hearing the news. Once he arrived, he took steps to help the victims, opening his own palaces to shelter the homeless and organizing food supplies to prevent famine. He even proposed a reconstruction plan that included new building guidelines, using less flammable materials. To some historians, these actions suggest a ruler trying to manage the situation rather than someone who would have started the fire. But if Nero didn't set fire to Rome, why was he accused? The answer may lie in the need to find a scapegoat. At the time, many people were angry and desperate, having lost everything. Someone needed to be blamed. Additionally, Nero needed to divert the population's attention. So, he pointed to the Christians, a small, misunderstood sect considered subversive by most Romans. He accused them of being responsible for the fire, initiating a brutal persecution against them. Many historians see this as a tactic by Nero to control public discontent and divert suspicion from himself. In short, the idea that Nero deliberately set fire to Rome is questionable. It's more likely that the fire was accidental, worsened by the city's own structure and the hot conditions of the season. Nero may have exploited the tragedy for his own purposes, attempting to rebuild Rome according to his vision, finding a scapegoat in the Christians. But the image of him playing the lyre as the city burned, while powerful and dramatic, is probably more myth than reality. And so, the myth of Nero and the burning of Rome continues to fascinate, a blend of truth and fantasy that shows how history and politics intertwine to create legends that last for millennia.